Vanakkam, Namaste. Namaste, Amma. We have our very own Ammaji with us, and she has agreed to share her views and experiences on life and of yoga as we are celebrating the 50th year of ICUAR and the 25th year of Yogacharini Natyalayam. And we all know that she's headed these two institutes for many decades now, a recipient of many awards, someone who's held very prestigious positions in national bodies, and a writer, orator, an author. And we know that she has and she still wears many hats. But as a growing up child, what I looked up to in Amma was her stamina. That was phenomenal. Her willpower, her sense of perseverance, somehow to push through things and get it done no matter what, as long as she perceived it to be righteous. These are things which left a strong impression on me as a growing up child. And she's someone who's as intellectual as much as she's humorous. That's a rare combination. I've always enjoyed her humor a lot. I've loved listening to her voice over the mic during my growing up years. Somehow it had a great sense of depth, a nice resonance to it, through which the concepts kind of flowed more easily. And all of us know that Ammaji weaves magic when she choreographs the scenes of the dance drama. So it's a treat to witness the transformation, and I've been in that space and I've always enjoyed it. So that was Ammaji for me, and much more also. So let's have a fine conversation with her as she shares her experiences of life.
I've had the privilege of watching thousands of children like Lakshmi grow up in front of my eyes since I've been in Pandi 50 years and have been working with children for that time. In Kambli Swami Madam, as you know, you were not there, but we had thousands of children studying dance, music, and yoga with us. And it was a great time. It had its time limit, its expiry date, and then we moved to city center and we did work on another level. But always our work has been in the field of yoga, Bharatanatyam, and Carnatic music, and generally trying to live a good, useful life for everyone, not just our own self, but for the community that we live in. I, of course, am nothing in the sense that anything I know has come from Swamiji, and he is the great source of everything, and he will say he knows nothing, and he will say everything he has come from is from his guru, Swami Kanakananda. And we are coming from a lineage, a tantric, Bengali tantric lineage, that has a certain amount of power, consciousness, concepts, technology to it. And in my experience, I felt that this type of knowledge, wisdom knowledge, could uplift people wherever they lived, whoever they were. And somehow I felt, all right, let us give this to, especially to the children here in Pondicherry, and of course people who come to us from all over the world. And this has been our mission, my mission, Swamiji's mission, to try to impart these arts of living, the old cultural arts of India, to the young people. Because I saw a different India than you are living in now. And when I came, there was a much different ambience, energy, a whole different consciousness was there, a beautiful, beautiful energy that is not there now. Something else has come, and who's to say whether it's better or worse? But I don't like it so much. The old way was a beautiful way, and it was the only place in the whole world, and I've traveled around the world totally 5 times, total world tour, been up and down and in and out all over India, and I've lived in at least 10 different countries, including 25 years in the United States growing up. And I never found anything that had even the slightest touch of what India had. So somehow, it's not a mission, it's just something that had to happen. I wanted the children, especially of this country, to remember what was here. And I found that the yoga, the dance, the music was the best vehicle for that. that if the people practiced these things from childhood, that it would help them to tune into that old Rishi culture psyche. And perhaps some of that culture could be carried on into the next generations, but it didn't get lost. How far we've succeeded, I don't know. I see some people growing up. Lakshmi is a good example of someone who's grown up in this type of concept, idea, ambience. And I consider her to be a very unique, very worthwhile human being. That's all we want. Whether she's a millionaire or famous or has a big school or a big car or anything like that, that doesn't matter. But what we are looking for, what we were looking for, Swamiji and I, was good human beings who followed this old ideas, the old ideas of India. You can call India Bharat. I prefer that Bharat Samskriti as a term. Unfortunately for us, Anand, our son, was able to catch that idea. And so now I'm past 75, almost 100. I feel like it. I feel like I'm almost 100. And I've had quite a lot of life, all I needed. I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. Unfortunately, Anand has picked this up. And I feel he's been able to carry it on in a better way, in another way. We can say another way. And he is carrying these ideas, he's carrying these concepts out into the youth and all over the world, not just the youth, but all over the world people are responding to his presentations. And he has succeeded in coming to the heights of Carnatic music, the heights of Mridangam, the heights of, what can we say, the heights of real yoga, not the asana, the real yogic spirit. And excellent choreography in dance, excellent organization. And he is going into the next generation. In fact, he's teaching the next generation. There's another generation now coming up. Hopefully our grandchildren, Divya Priya and Anandraj, will be able to carry that along. But that is God's wish. We can't force. They have to feel in themselves, as he felt, was something worthwhile. And he's been able to combine the medical knowledge, the scientific knowledge, that educated approach to the old traditional ideas in a very beautiful way, very beautiful. In fact, this is what Swamiji had done. This is what I had tried to do in another type of way. And now he is doing. Out of that has come Yogacharini Natyalayam, which is part of our work. We have established a well-known yoga gurukula. We're quite famous. One of the 10 leading yoga schools in India, according to different government and social organizations, propagating yoga, but we are quite different from others in that we are teaching in a small way, whereas most of the other teachers like Ramdev and Vivekananda Kendra in Bangalore are teaching in thousands. Well, we have taught thousands, but over many, many decades. So if we actually looked around, we'd find so many people. I can't walk down the streets of Pandi without some 40 or 50-year-old, bald-faced, pot-bellied man coming up to me with a big smile saying, "Do you remember me?" I'll say, "Actually, I really do not recognize you." He said he'd be quite hurt. He'd say, "I was studying with you when I was 10 years old in Kambli Swami Madam." And then I would say, "Well, you look a little different now." And he'd be very happy to tell me that he had had that. And he'd tell me all the things they had there, that they used to come on Sunday and look forward to a good meal and a good swim and lots of fun with their friends and games and all kinds of things going on. And then I said, "Well, did you learn any yoga?" And he'd say, "Yes, we learned some yoga also." And they're living decent lives. Okay, he may not be a yogi, he may not be a great anything, but he's a good human being. taking care of his family, doing his job, trying hard to live a decent life. We've had so many people come here to study with us. Now Anand has gone on so many world tours. When he was in Vancouver a few weeks ago, they had 150 people over their seminar, 4-day seminar time. So like that, these teachings are going off in a very organic way. We don't advertise, we don't publicize, and I don't want to do that. And that's why we have the sign over the door, enter here only if you're happy. So not too many people are happy, and so they don't enter. And I feel that our dance programs are right at the top. I can say that without any ego, that when I've seen so many dance programs, so many presentations, especially in Chennai, all over India, and I really sincerely feel we've come right to the top. And we've produced many, many professional level dancers, of which Lakshmi is one. But I would say there's at least 50 of you who've come out after all these years that you could easily go on the professional stage. We're certainly at the top. But most of our kids have not decided to do that because we've not taught this as a profession. We've taught it as a love, as a lifestyle, as a way to evolve, a way to grow, a way to become spiritually evolved. And so our aim has not been to produce professional dancers or professional yoga teachers or anything like that. I'm a little surprised to hear her say that the quality that she liked the most was this perseverance and stamina. That definitely was there. I did have that. That came from the yoga, that came from Swamiji, came from my own innate character also, because that has been there. And I think that this is what we would have to say most of our students have also, don't they? Almost all of our students have that great stamina and that ability to push through odds, that ability to carry on even though they face so many obstacles. And that's as I get older, I feel that is perhaps the best quality. I've had so many people who've had talent go through my hands. So many people who are intelligent go through my hands. So many beautiful people, beauty in body. But only those who've had that quality of perseverance and stamina and sticking to it, those are the ones that have come up into something special. And the other ones have sort of disappeared into the great flood of humanity, doing this or that. So I suppose that is one of the qualities, but I feel that's the most important spiritual quality.
We define yoga as conscious evolution, conscious constructive change. Now, having been a yoga teacher for over 5 decades now, what has been more challenging to you, to change yourself or to change others?
Change myself. I really don't believe for a minute we can change anybody. I cannot believe we can change anybody. And I don't think we should. Who are we? No, the one thing though is that if we are in the position of a teacher, then we have a duty to present certain ideals before our students. Timeliness, which I say is one of the things as a teacher that we have to propound to the students. An ideal that we put before them is regularity, rhythm, and repetition. Do the same thing over and over and over again, pretty much at the same time, in the same way, because that gives a power. My big job is to change myself. But because I'm in the position of a teacher, also a parent and a grandparent, that there's a certain dharma in those roles, not to change, but to present and put before these people who are in our orbit certain ideals of living that are yogic, and that ask them and try to stimulate them and try to help them how they can achieve those ideals and try to make those ideals attractive to them. But whether they change, and this is something that was very tough for me to learn, whether they change or not depends on them. I have no power to change anybody. And Swamiji told me this maybe 50 years ago. And he told me a lot of things that I used to think, oh, is it? I could not agree at that time. And as I got older, I would say, Swamiji was right. He was right. As I grew. And he used to say something very, very important in the modern world. Yoga cannot change anybody. And I thought, what? Because I used to think yoga could change everybody. That's one of the reasons I started that program at Swami Madam. I saw all these kids from underprivileged families, and they had nothing, and they were not in school, and they couldn't do anything, and they weren't healthy, and they had a lot of bad behavior traits. And I thought, okay, yoga will change them. In those days, I thought yoga was asana, pranayama, the practices, the technology. But then I saw that it did not change anybody. Swamiji said yoga, when he said yoga, he meant yoga technology. He's not talking about conscious evolution. He's not talking about the higher ideas, the higher conscious concepts. He's talking about yoga technology, asana, pranayama, kriyas, mudras, jatis, that whole technology that we use. He would say, yoga will make you, that yoga technology will make you better what you are. So, if you're a thief, you'll become a better thief. If you're a cheat, you'll become more cunning cheat. If you are mean, you'll become more clever at your meanness. It doesn't change that inner character. This is a very, very important lesson for me. Because I thought the asanas, the pranayamas would help the people to change. And it didn't. It simply made better what their inner character was, their samskara, their vasana. It made that stronger. And they became more clever at manifesting it. And he said, until the person wakes up in consciousness, until they wake up and become conscious, there can be no inner change. That's a very important point. When you wake up and you are conscious that you're conscious, when you are aware, you're aware, then there's a possibility of change. Then the technology can help you change.